Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Tanya, where I make art creations in my little corner studio. And I usually work in watercolor, but I do like to mix it up with different mediums. And what I have today is this cute little birdie fighting the cold November wind, done in oil pastels. So please follow or join me. These are the oil pastels that I use, and I will go over the colors with you real quickly. They are white, pale yellow, yellow, salmon pink, vermilion, flame red, ochre, russet, moss green, olive, raw umber, dark gray, gray, light gray, and black, and a white Posca pen, a Sharpie acrylic marker in black and white. I got my blending stick, one colored pencil, and a regular pencil. This is the paper I used. It is a mixed media paper, Strathmore, in like a toned tan, and I cut it to a 6x6 size. Now you don't have to use this colored paper. You could use a regular white paper too if you like. Any type of paper that you like to do oil pastels on will work. I've never tried oil pastels on this paper before. I do like to usually use this for gouache. So I thought, well, I'll try it with the oil pastels because I did like the color and I thought it would be a nice tone for this pastel drawing. And I did like it. It didn't have much of a tooth on it, so it was a little bit different to use than some of the other pastel papers that I have used. So anyway, here is my little drawing. So I sketched out this little birdie. It's a pretty simple sketch that you could do. Just a basic shape of a bird sitting on the branch. I will put in the description all the colors that I did use for this with their corresponding number, so that will make it easier to grab the colors that I used also. I hope everyone out there is having a good day. This little birdie is a fall picture, but I guess you could do it also as a Christmas one if you liked. I haven't really done any Christmas videos yet. I'm waiting for December to do that. Seems like everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people are doing Christmas videos. Getting a jump start on Christmas, which I totally understand that. It's nice to do that. But I'm just gonna wait until after November to start doing some Christmas painting and videos. So this guy is a little fall video, but you know what? You could make it Christmas too, actually. I guess it flies between both of them. So after I penciled in the little drawing, I took my Posca pen, my acrylic white, and outlined the birdie. You could use any white acrylic marker you have. You don't even have to use white. You can use black or just keep it pencil. But since I wanted the bird to have like a bright light to him, I thought white would work out well for this. Now I did notice too, as you will see, I used this Posca pen and then I switched later on to my acrylic marker, my Sharpie, because this tip was, when I use it later on for details, the tip was scraping away at my pastels, because I do add some white acrylic accents to this pastel drawing later, but then I switched to my Sharpie later. So this is one of my Sharpies, is actually black. This is the black one, and I went ahead and filled in the eyes with the black marker. Of course, you don't have to do this. You can go ahead and use your black pastel, but I wanted to just do it with the pen, and then I do come back later with my black pastel because it is a more it creates more of a deeper black than the acrylic marker did. Okay, so now I am starting out with my oil pastels. I'm doing the background first, and that is my dark gray. So I'm going to try and tell you the colors that I'm using as I go. Now I am switching to my olive. And this color is lemon yellow, which I am sorry I did not say in the beginning, but I will add it to the description. And that's the color that I'm using to start the lights. I put in those circles so I know where I want to put the little lights at. And here is still the lemon yellow. Now I am adding some of the yellow. And as you see, I'm just kind of randomly putting the colors in, and of course I will be blending all these for the background. But I was trying to create an illusion of light. Now I am coming in with some moss green. And here is gray. This is light gray that I'm using now. Now I am coming in with ochre. And here's some white. Now I'm having problems with my white. It seems to be drier than my other colors for some reason. When I got this set, it was even drier, I noticed, than some of the other colors in the set. Which is a bummer because I do use white a lot. Okay, so now I use my finger to spread, to blend. Sometimes I use my finger, sometimes I use a blending stick. Use whatever works for you. I've noticed for me, my finger seems to work the best. I don't use any oil or anything like that to help the blending process. I just use my finger. To me, it seems like that works the best for me. I have kind of the most control with that, and I think the warmth of my hands kind of helps blend the pastels also. I have seen where some people use Q-tips. Just use whatever works for you. I've tried Q-tips and it didn't seem to work for me very well. If anybody has a trick, comment below. I'm kind of fairly new to oil pastels, so if you have some comments, some help with it, comment below, because I'll take some help with this blending stuff. But I do live in a pretty dry climate. That might have something to do with it, though oil pastels don't seem to dry out super quickly. But anyways, next I blended it all and I thought this needs more white. So I come back with my white and add more. So here I'm adding some pale yellow. And I decided to try my blending stump. And then, never mind, I'll use my finger. I do like to use my blending stump for finer areas where I feel like my finger's too fat, or I just can't get in there well enough. So I thought I'm going to add some fall color, and this one is Flame Red. And this one is Russet. Trying to make it kind of maybe look like fall leaves. So just kind of did shapes of leaves. starting out here with light gray. Then this is ochre. So as you can see, here is where I use my little blending stump to help with the smaller places like that. And I don't know if you know this, people out there that like to use the stumps. You probably already do, but I just found this out not too long ago. To clean the stumps off and to keep them fresh, you just take it works well if you take a little bit of sandpaper and rub the tip against the sandpaper and it cleans it. Something I did not know. So then I added, this is the yellow. I was using my scissors actually to cut the dirty parts off until I saw somebody use sandpaper and I thought, wow, what a good idea. It's just some of those things you just don't think about, maybe, especially if you're like new to certain mediums. There's all cool little tricks to everything that if somebody doesn't show you or tell you or you don't read about, you don't know, unless you think about it yourself. But sometimes that doesn't happen. Okay, now this is the pale yellow. I'm coming in with pale yellow. I'm trying to keep this birdie light. And I have to say though, with this paper, I probably would not use this paper again for oil pastels. It was a little too smooth, I think, for me, just from my personal preference. So, okay, now I'm adding the salmon pink. This is where I start using the pink. And then the light gray again. Yeah, so here's where I darken up the eye with the black. And then used a little bit of black underneath the wing to create some shadow. Okay, so for his little beak, I'm using Vermillion. As you see, I have just like a little nub of it broke off. So I just used Vermillion, then blended it in. I was having a hard time though getting the beak how I liked it. So I do come in later with something else. But okay, so the scarf I'm using Vermillion. So I did get this stump at Hobby Lobby in case you want to get one. I've seen them at a lot of art stores online, pretty cheap and inexpensive. So are Q-tips, but I just can't use Q-tips very well. Okay, so now I'm adding some more white. Or adding white, I should say. So here I'm coming in with the russet. I wanted to add a little bit more dimension to his little scarf. You know, like I was saying earlier, to make this into a Christmas illustration, you could easily change the colors of the background. I think it would be really pretty, like in a snowy color, like grays and blues and whites, instead of adding the, you know, the orange and the russets. Even make him have like a green and a red scarf on. That'd be cute too. So now this is, I believe, that's the raw umber. Starting on the branch with raw umber and then blending it. Or even like those little lights that I put on there, you can make them Christmas lights. Red and green, that'd be cute too. So all you people out there who are ready for Christmas, you could do that. If you wanted to do this bird but in more of a Christmas theme, that'd be cute. Okay, so now this is the yellow. I'm trying to kind of make the those lights there look a little bit more brighter, and I'm putting some of that yellow where I think it would be hitting the branch. Now I'm coming in with the black to add some contrast. And I used Russet for his little feet. And then this is the pale yellow, just adding more light. Okay, here's where I started fiddling with the beak, I believe, and I just didn't like the way it was turning out. So I took this colored pencil and I just kind of sketched over lightly. Sorry, that's kind of fuzzy, but as you can see, I just sketched over lightly with the colored pencil over the pastels. And I didn't like that, so then I put white back over that. Came back in with the pencil, trying to get the beak how I liked it. But surprisingly, that color pencil worked pretty good over the oil pastels. Sometimes it scrapes away instead of actually adding color. Okay, so then I came with my acrylic pen again, my Posca, and I wanted to add some pretty white highlights to the outside of the bird. And so I'm using my Posca, and it was working pretty well. But then I was also having some issues with it scraping the oil pastel away because the Posca tip's pretty, hard and pointy. But for most part, it was working pretty well. That's why I keep on, as you can see, rubbing it against my tape there to get the ink moving and to take off the pastel that had scraped off onto my tip, kind of rubbing it against there. But it did work though. And used a little bit to outline the eyes. Of course, have to add the little white highlights to the eyes, a little bit to the beak. And I added a little bit of, marks there to the scarf. But as you see here, I changed to my Sharpie acrylic marker because the tip's not as hard as the Poscas. I don't know if anybody's out there has tried these Sharpie acrylic markers. I think they're called creative markers actually, but they're acrylic. And the tip's softer, so it wasn't scraping away the pastel as much. So I switched to that when I was adding these dots and more white to the lights, as you can see, and to the bird also. It's more translucent than the Posca, but I do like these Sharpie creative markers, acrylic markers that they make too for, adding subtle highlights, subtle white highlights. And you don't have to depress the tip. The ink just comes out. So now I came back with my color pencil, just adding a little marks, the little strings for the lights with that. And then I like to use this brush to brush away the little pieces of pastel that would, get on the illustration. So as you can see, here's the pencil, and I'm kind of scraping away the pastel with the pencil for those little swirls. And here it is. I did add, which I did not record, I did add a little bit more white to as you can see, to the body of the birdie. A little bit more white feathers, kind of give it that look of like being blowing in the wind to the body and to the head. But I hope you guys like this, and if you're into oil pastels, give it a try. It was a fun one. I hope it was worth your time watching, and thank you so much for sticking around. If you are watching made it to the end of this video, please like and subscribe if you haven't. It helps my channel out a lot, and I'll see you soon with something new. Bye-bye.